Okay, so data structure, what will be the definition? It's representation of logical relationship existing between individual elements of data. Or you can say in your own words, data structure is the way of organizing data or organizing data in some particular format so that whenever you want to access the data, you could access it in efficient manner. Okay. And for that, what do? An algorithm is, what is algorithm? Is a step-by-step procedure to solve particular function. Okay. What is algorithm? Step-by-step procedure to solve a particular function. Have you heard this? Have you written any algorithm till now? In C programming, you might not have. Okay. So generally, if you talk about algorithm, suppose that one problem is there, and I'm asking, tell me how will you be solving this problem? So what will you do? You will be giving me the procedure for that. So that procedure, if you could write step by step, firstly you will do this, then you will do this, then you will do this, and then you will be getting final result. So if you could write that step by step, that is an algorithm. Okay. Now let's come to next slide. Classification of data structure. So you can classify data structure into two parts. One is primitive data structure and second one is non-primitive data structure. Okay. Primitive data structure and non-primitive data structure. Now in primitive data structure, it's integer, float, character, pointer, and all these things comes. And in non-primitive data structure, again you can divide this into two parts: linear data structure and non-linear data structure. Okay. In linear data structure, what all comes? In linear data structure, what all comes? Stack, queue, stack, queue, linked list, arrange. Okay. And in non-linear, just now we discussed tree and graph. What is primitive data structure? Its basic structure is directly operated upon or by the machine instructions. Okay. Like integer, floating point number, character, constants, string, constants, pointers falls in this category. This is in C programming you must have done and called data types as well. Okay. Non-primitive data structure. These are, you can say, derived from the primitive data structure. Non-primitive data structure emphasizes on structuring of a group of homogeneous or heterogeneous data items. Means different types of data is there or same types of data is there. How will you structure in a group? Okay, like list, stack, queue, tree, graph, etc., etc. So these are the example of non-primitive data structure. What all operations broadly we can perform in non-primitive data structure? So these are the create, select, update, search, sort, merge, delete. These are the like create, select, update, search, sort, merge, and delete. These are the operations broadly we can perform in non-primitive data structure. Now we'll go one by one with a small introduction. What is the various data structure? So first one we will talk about arrays. So arrays you must have done in C programming as well. So what is array? Anybody can tell me? Anyone? Definition of array?
So array is a function that stores similar data types.
Yes, you can say this. Where we can store similar data type. If you are talking about similar data type, what does it mean?
So if it's like int, we can only use int or like float.
Yes. So we generally say set of finite number of homogeneous elements of are same data types or similar data types. Why we say same data type or similar data type means if you are defining an array with integer, then you can store only integer in that array. If you are defining float, you can store only float in that array. Okay, that is why we went and we needed structure some places where you can store more than one data type together. We must have done a structure as well. So where we can store more than one data type at a time. And example, if you want to store the book information, then you need the character where you will be storing the book name or author name. Then you need price, it could be in floating point. You need publication year, it could be, it will be definitely integer. So you have to actually store different data type at one particular time. So in those cases we use structure, and this is the limitation of array. Now, how do we define array? So firstly you write data type of that array, then array name, and then size of the array. Like here you can see int, then ARR, and then 10. What does it mean? Int is defining the data type or the type of elements which array will store. ARR is the name of array. Okay, and in the square bracket it's written 10. What does it mean? The length of this array or the size of this array is 10. Okay, hope it's clear to everybody. How do we define array? Any confusion, anybody?
No, sir.
Yes. So now when you define size of array 10, ARR 10, what does it mean? How do you go in the indexing? If I'm talking about the indexing, means in the program, how will you write? You will go from, suppose that array name is A. So you will go from A0 till A9. You know this or not?
Yes, sir, we know.
Yeah. So we'll go A0 till A9. Okay. These are the some concepts which we should know or you should know about the array. The individual element of an array can be accessed by specifying name of the array, followed by the index or subscript inside the square bracket. That's what I just talked about. The first element of an array has index 0. It means the first element and last element will be specified. If size of array is 10, then you will go with array of 0 till ARR 9 respectively. So this is the thing. The element of array will always be stored in the consecutive memory location. Means it cannot happen at one place. Suppose that A5 you have stored something and then you are storing A9. No. If you have stored A5, the next element will be definitely at A6. Okay. Then second thing, the number of element can be stored in an array, and that is the size of its length. Size of array or its length is given by the following equation: upper bound minus lower bound plus 1. Upper bound minus lower bound plus 1. Now this example you can take it. This example you can take it. That's what it's given. Suppose that your size of array is 5. So you're writing int A5. So what will be the lower bound? A0. And maximum indexing will go till A4. That's how size of array will be A5 or not?
Yes, sir.
So lower bound is 0 and upper bound is 4. So 4 minus 0 plus 1. That's how you are getting 5. Total size is 5 of this array. Okay. So this is how you can see the number of elements if indexing is given. Okay. Now for the 10, it's defined 9 minus 0 plus 1 equal to 10. Then array can always be read or written through the loop. If we read one-dimensional array, it required one loop for reading and other for writing the array. Means if you want to take the value in an array from the user, you can use one loop, one for loop. With one for loop, we can do even with, okay, and or any loop you can use. And for writing again, same loop you will have to use. Like see here, one for 9 elements. If you want to take the value in those 9 elements, you can use this loop for I equal to 0, I less than equal to 9, I plus plus. Here you can also write I equal to 0, I less than 10. So I less than 10 and I less than equal to 9, both are same condition. And then I plus plus and then scanf %d and %array ARR means here I will be going from 0 till 9 and every time you will be taking the value from the user. And then how will you print those values? This is the condition. Same thing, you will be using printf and one for loop with same condition to print it. That's how you can read and write the value of an array. If we are reading or writing two-dimensional array, it would require two loops. And similarly, the array of n dimension would require n loop. Like, have you printed matrix using array? You know what is matrix?
Yes, sir.
So when you want to print the matrix, you need two-dimensional array. So there we use two for loop. One for loop for the row, and under that row, suppose that first row n column is there, or 3 column is there, or 4 column is there. So for that, each row that n column will be executing. So for that, one for loop will be there. So it means two for loop will be there for two-dimensional array. Okay, and some common operation that we can perform in the arrays are creating an array, traversing an array, insertion of new element, deletion of required element, modification of an element, merging of an array. Now, what is linked list? So what I told you, what is the limitation of array?
That that the data cannot be changed in between.
Data cannot be deleted or inserted or cannot be changed in between. So if you want to insert some new data in between, it will be very tough to perform that operation using array. So for that we need actually linked list. That's how linked list came into the picture. So for that we need linked list, and the list or linked list can be defined as a collection of variable number of data items. Means data items are not fixed. In array, data items are fixed or not. Whatever the size you have defined for that array, can you store the number of elements more than that?
No, sir.
No. So means their data items are fixed. When you talk about the linked list, data items are not fixed. Okay, when you talk about the linked list, data items are not fixed. So you can say variable number of data items, variable number of data items. Now, lists are most commonly used non-primitive data structure. Okay, and in this linked list, generally we have two fields. one each for the information and one each for addressing the next element. Means it will store the address of next element where we will be using actually the pointer. So for that we have to create a node. So this is how it works. You can see each node. I'll just take this. Can you see this AAA and one information field, and this is the second field? Two field is there. Is this visible to you people, guys?
Yes, sir.
So you can see this is called node. This is called node, where I will just cut and paste somewhere so that it should be more clear. Suppose that, yes. So this is called node. I have just pasted it here. Top. You just see it. This is called node, where two fields will be there in that. One first field in the linked list, whenever you will be using this node. So first part of that node you will be using for the information which you want to store actually, and second part you will be using for next pointer. That is called pointer field, where you will be storing actually the address of next node. So here now come into this list. So AAA is the information which you want to store, or XYZ, anything you can write as per your choice. And the next part will be containing the address of second node. Now, if you want, and then see BBB, and then here address of next node. So it's next, and then at last nothing is there, then it will be null pointer, no value. Okay. Now, if you want to delete this BBB from this list, what can you do? Directly in this part AAA, node AAA, in the pointer field, you can store the address of this third node, that is CCC. So this B node will be automatically deleted or not?
Yes, sir.
So this is the basic operations which I told you about linked list. We'll be doing this in the detail whenever that module will come. Okay. Now types of linked list which we'll be doing: single linked list, double linked list, single circular linked list, and double circular linked list. What is stack? Stack is also an ordered collection of elements like arrays, but it has a special feature that deletion and insertion of element can be done only from one end, that is called top of the stack. And that's why, because of this property, it's called LIFO, LIFO, last in, first out. Okay. And this could be the example. You can see it here. You can push or pop from a stack from the top only. You can push and pop the elements from the stack from the top only. Now what is push? So push is an operation which generally we use in the stack to insert the element in the stack. And what is the pop? Pop is an operation. Pop is an operation through which actually we delete the element from the stack. So this you should know what is push and pop. So we'll always use push and pop operation to insert and delete the element from the stack. So this is about push and pop and stack, and we can perform these operations from the top, means top value only. What could be the example of a stack? Suppose that 10 books you have kept it one by one. If you want to take the first book, can you take it directly?
No, sir. I have to take every other book from top of it.
Yes, you have to remove each and every book from the top, then only you can go to till bottom and you can take it. So means you have to delete from the top, then only you can go down, isn't it? Similarly, if you want to keep one more book, can you do directly within anywhere down? No, you have to keep on the top only. So this is the example of stack. Then queue, first in, first out. First in, first out. So in this, like a stack, we use two operations, push and pop. In queue, we use rear and front. In queue, we use rear and front. Okay. This also will be doing the algorithms for stack and queue in the detail in the stack and queue module. But right now you should only know the basics. What is queue? What could be the example of this? Standing in a line for the movie ticket. So whoever has come first and stood in the queue or in that line will get the ticket first. Okay. So that's how first in, whoever entered first will go first from that queue, means go out first from that queue, and whoever came last will go last, means their number will come at last. Okay. So from where actually there are two things here, two operations which we talked here in the queue, front and rear. So in the queue, actually from front you can delete the element. Like whoever will be in front of the line will get the ticket first and will go out first. That's how this front operation is used to delete the element from the queue, and from the rear people can come inside, means element can be inserted. So rear will be used to insert the element and front will be used to delete the element from the queue. Okay, so this is the example, you can see it here. Each new person comes and stand at the end of the row, and person getting the reservation confirmed get out from the row, get out of the row from the front end. So here 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So 50 is the rear, 10 is the front. So firstly 10 will go out if this is a queue, then 20 will go out, then 30 will go out, then 40 will go out, and then 50 will go out. Now what is the condition? How do we store these things and how do we delete the things? What condition, whether we should check stack and queue, overflow, underflow, and all those things. Those things we'll be doing whenever we will be doing this algorithm for these stacks and queue. Now let's come to the tree, non-linear data structure. A tree can be defined as a finite set of data items, nodes. And tree is a non-linear data type of data structure in which data items are arranged or stored in the sorted sequence. Tree represents the hierarchical relationship between the various elements. Okay, this is the example of the tree. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 7 elements are stored in this tree starting from A. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A is called the root element. Okay, and B, E, F, G. Sorry, D, E, F, G. D, E, F, G are the leaf element. Okay, this is also called in the form parent and child node. Okay, so we'll be doing this in detail during this module. Then another is the graph. Graph is the mathematical non-linear data structure capable of representing many kind of physical structure. It has found application in geography, chemistry, engineering sciences, and nowadays I will tell you where we are actually using the graph. What is the real application of the graph? You must be using the GPS system and Google Maps nowadays. When you want to go to certain place, so you use Google Map or any map, any kind of map you use, no? So what is the role of GPS there? GPS will tell you exactly where exactly are at which location exactly on that graph or on that map you are. But that map is a kind of graph. that map which you are using is a graph where you have vertices and edges. So set of vertices, so graph you can say GVE. A graph is a set of vertices and edges. Okay, the vertices means these different roundabouts, and edges are the road which we the road through which we are connecting those roundabouts. Okay, so that's what is there in the map or not. Now, what is the difference in tree and graph? In tree, there will not be any loop or cycle, but in the graph, cycle could be there, or loop could be there. Okay, I will show you the example as well. You can see this example of directed graph and undirected graph. Directed graph means where direction is given. You can go in only in this direction. Like in part A, you can see from V2 to V5. You can go, but from V5 to V2, you cannot come back because there is no direction. In undirected graph, you can go and come back, means both directions are open. But in the directed graph, always direction will be given, then only you can go in that direction. Like when you go in these roads, directions are given. Now, can you go wrong side? No, you cannot. So there actually we use directed graph. Okay. So now for the graph, we'll be doing directed graph, undirected graph, simple graph, weighted graph, connected graph, non-connected graphs. So this is all about the introduction of data structure. Okay. Thank you.